Star Wars Gary is presented to you by Capital Idea. Email Capital Idea at capitalidea100@gmail.com or friend them on Facebook at facebook.com/capitalidea100 or follow Gary on Twitter at twitter.com/SW_Gary.
Yeah, do we have a name for this thing?
I don't know. Is your idea? What do you want to call it?
Star Wars Gary in real life?
Sure.
All right, hi, I'm Nick Prince, and I'm joined here with Ricky Glore and Eric Hunter.
Hi, I'm Ricky Glore.
Hey, Ricky.
And I'm Eric. I'm Eric Hunter.
Fantastic. All right, we'll get right to the chase here. I'm kind of a tech guy, and I always enjoy listening to podcasts, and I kind of want to know what they record on, what kind of equipment. So, Ricky, you're up in Chicago right now. That's where you live.
Yes.
So, what are you recording on?
I'm recording on a free program of Audacity.
Sponsor of the show. All right. Eric.
To edit the entire show and to do my voiceovers, I use an AKG. What is this? 220, and we use Mixcraft 5, I believe it is, to edit the entire show together.
Do you do all the editing, or Ricky,
Yes,
do you take any part in that?
No, absolutely not. I do all of the editing. Me and Ricky both collaborate on the writing of the episode, and then we both record our separate parts, and then we drop it in a Dropbox account, and then I put everything together into one program and edit it all together.
And
All right,
the one real unfortunate part of that is you can tell as hard as Eric works, the significant sound difference in Season 3, because I am recording on a much inferior program and equipment.
Yeah, it's definitely equipment. The program's fine.
Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of hit on writing a little bit, so...
Nice segue.
Nice segue, huh? We didn't write that at all. So do you guys, when creating an episode, do you guys storyboard it all? Do you just, how does that, walk me through, the creation of an episode? Whoever wants to take this.
Go ahead, Ricky.
Okay, creation of an episode. A lot of times, as we discussed in Gary in Real Life 1, most of these things come from jokes we've made in the past, especially with Season 3. Season 3, the first episode was written in the fall of 2010, the return of the booty hunter. And how that works is, for a normal episode, I'll come up with an idea, or Eric will come up with an idea, and we'll G-chat with each other or text and be like, hey, I have this idea. And we'll go back and forth and kind of shoot out ideas. And then the person who presented the idea most of the time will take all those ideas and form the episode around everything and just pull everything together. But especially Season 3, we did a lot of a story arc. So no matter what ideas we had for an episode, most episodes in Season 3 have at least a piece of the overall story, which that's the first time we've ever done it for a full season.
Okay, so that was kind of my other question. Do you write a whole, going into the season, do you go ahead and write it all out? Or do you just kind of start with an episode and see where the whole season goes?
Well, I'll say my part of it. I don't think outline like a traditional outline. We did for Season 4, actually. We wrote out plot points and places we wanted the characters to go and things to happen. But for Seasons 1, 2, and 3 more than 1 and 2, we actually just had little G-chat discussions or text message discussions. Eric?
What? I'm sorry.
So, we'll edit this part out. So it would sound like Eric was paying attention.
What's the question?
No. Like when you go into a season, do you kind of have an idea, like collaborating with one another? Do you just say, "Oh, let's make season 3 about this"? Like, or do you just like, "Hey, I have a funny idea. We just finished season 2. Let's pick up where that left off, or just start a new whole thing and then just keep writing until you hit 12, 15 episodes or whatever."
We typically have a general idea of how basically the entire show's going to go, like in its entirety.
Yeah, Eric's actually talking now as the series. As of right now, we've calculated what we want the whole series to be. But that's only, I would say, within the past year we've discussed that.
Well, but but the same undertones have always been the same. The story, the characters haven't changed too much. We do put them in different situations that we think would tie into being a stormtrooper with the Empire, but the actual story and the actual plot, we typically just find we want to get the characters to one point in the show or in the season, and then we figure out how do we get there, and that's where we tie in the jokes and what we could tie in from the movies, and or what could we spoof of other things that are from today to get them there in a not so ordinary way of getting there.
So would you guys say you write more for? I mean, this might be on a episode by episode, but do you say you write more for like a character? Do you write more for like the story? Like when you're going into an episode, do you just I want Gary to do something in this episode, so I'm going to write the whole episode around that, or do you kind of write a whole story?
Oh, we've definitely done that.
You're right.
We've written entire episodes around one joke. Ricky?
Yeah, and I think what's just a little bit different about season 3, season 1, definitely one joke could carry that whole 5 minutes, and you can tell now listening back to them. But something we wanted to develop, and I think we have, with having a story arc for our characters, all of them, even minor characters like Mark and Roger, we knew where they were going to end up by the end of season 3. What's nice is we have more of like an A and a B plot in episodes. Sometimes even a C, more structured like a real show. And even if we do, or like, if we're inspired to make an episode just because of something like, oh god, a folding chair, like Gary and Jack are going to make folding chairs, there's still going to be substance in the episode that is going to be used to fuel the rest of the season. For instance, they find the frozen soldiers. They go back into the 20th century room with Miss Lady, the computer lady. Like, so that was a huge part, even though the whole episode is about the folding chair. It's called The Return of the Folding Chair. But that one scene is a huge part of the whole season 3.
So we definitely, in terms of the A plot and the B plot, the A plot is definitely always the joke. It's always whatever running gag throughout the episode is, and then the B plot is the actual story development and the plot points.
The overall like arc of the whole season.
Correct.
Right.
Because we're a comedy show.
You are.
We are.
Huh. Didn't tell.
Next question, Mr. Smarty Pants.
You guys kind of hit on characters and how you were saying that they... Well, I mean, this comes from I forget the guy's name that kind of submitted this, but he was saying how
Anthony.
characters evolve. Who was
Guy
it?
from Scuddercast, Anthony. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, but it's one of the guys that promoted us the first season on their Scuddercast for Red Dwarf. He submitted some questions and inquiries.
Okay, well,
That guy.
he was saying how he noticed how like some of the characters, Gary in particular, he's kind of evolved from like seasons 1 and 2. He kind of was like the really dumb guy, and Jack and Kevin seemed really smart. And then these roles almost flipped to where, Gary is getting more of the front line of the roles, and you see a lot of Gary and you hear a lot of Gary, and he's almost outsmarting Jack and Kevin on a lot of times. Can you talk about like how why you guys let Gary evolve the way he did?
And I think we've got separate opinions on this.
Separate opinions, and then there's also just kind of like bullshit opinions.
No, it's a for real opinion.
Oh, for real opinion? Well, I mean, I think the honest opinion is we both said if Gary's going to have more than one sentence or a one-liner, he's got to talk more, and the more you make Gary talk, you can't really make him sound stupid the whole time.
All right, let's go back to the bullshit opinion then.
Oh,
that's what I
okay.
want to debate.
You do yours.
Okay, well, my bullshit opinion on why Gary seems smarter than Jack and Kevin is because after we realized, I mean, the show's taking place through Jack and Kevin's eyes. And after the few episodes of The Rank where we find out that Gary was actually a badass, even though they get their minds wiped, there is still that hint of what we believe is possibly not true. So the intelligence level of Gary actually hasn't changed. Jack and Kevin's perception of Gary has changed, and Gary is becoming the enlightened one, whereas in Jack and Kevin their intellect has stayed exactly the same. They've always been idiots. It's the cheerleader effect. If you put two dumb guys next to a smart guy, all three of them, the dumbness factor is way, way down. And that's what it is now. But before, Gary was the only dumb one. And Jack and Kevin were the intelligent ones. So it makes Gary look even stupider.
Ah, right.
So, right. In that kind of instance, it's Jack and Kevin haven't changed at all in the way that they think and their intelligence level. And we're just becoming more aware of Gary. Your rebuttal?
Oh no rebuttal. It's just my if I had to explain it through any bit of osmosis or science throughout the show, it was that we don't know how many times Jack and Kevin's minds have been erased, and each time they get erased, was it order 86, 88,
88,
88? Anytime that happens, they erase probably. They want to erase at least up to the point a little bit before they found out whatever the Empire didn't want them to find out, or they got out of hand. So I say after so many erasings of the mind, they're going to be a little dumber. Kind of like a Multiplicity, where Michael Keaton, each clone, is a little bit dumber.
So you're saying Gary didn't change at all?
Gary hasn't changed, yeah. Gary hasn't changed at all. Or, you could always say, too, is Gary's playing a pretty good act. But the thing is, too, is like with making him speak more, the more we're being exposed more to Gary, too. We only were exposed to Gary in little snidbits. And we still get those snidbits now, but then it's like the camera stays on him a little bit longer. And then what does he say? Oh, he's kind of in the know. Oh, he's kind of running shit around here.
Yeah, I think the first episode that when we kind of realized that, Gary could be something more than what he really is, was the Death Star episode. When they landed on the Death Star and they couldn't leave because their ship was broken, and Gary's like, well, I fixed it. Like, Jack and Kevin couldn't fix their ship, but Gary did? That's kind of odd. So I think
it was a happy accident, too, because I think we initially did that just as a joke.
Right. I'm going back to my bullshit rebuttal, though.
Well, and then, too, is, I don't know if we said this in the first part, but the ranks part 1, 2, and 3, which made Gary and the whole series a little bit deeper than the rest of the first season leads on. Those are the last 3 of the second season. Those were initially written to be the 3-part finale of the first season.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, as we said before, Jack solely goes on impulse. I don't know if we're exaggerating that more as things go on, and like Jack just pulls in Kevin more on his schemes and his ridiculousness. But yeah, it's just fun too to see Gary in power. Gary is Darth Vader's right-hand man and outshines Darth at sometimes.
Yeah, I was going to say that. We were talking about how like Gary just kind of stayed the same character, but there's many times where he's outsmarted Vader at times. So
yeah, because it's like when Gary's around Jack and Kevin, it's like it's an act. It's a joke that he's playing on them, that he's not as smart as them, and then when he's off doing not around them anymore. Like that was always the fun thing for me because like especially in the first season when Gary just comes running in then runs out, it's like what the hell is he doing? You know, it's like
we can see it. We knew what it looked like, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's I mean hell he could be the one that's fixing or negotiating or anything, you know, and Jack and Kevin are the ones who are like, man, you know, he's just messing around, he's not doing his job, and like I think that whole back and forth is probably the best part of the show because it's like we have put more emphasis and focus on Gary recently, but there's still that gap where it's like, oh, you see Gary run off and then suddenly he's in a different place with a different person and doing something completely different. And
right, and also we've, as you said, through the show, you're looking through Jack and Kevin's eyes. Eric and I have been looking through Jack and Kevin's eyes going, where the hell does Gary go?
Exactly.
He's having lunch with Darth Vader in the cafeteria.
Yeah, in the executive cafeteria.
Yeah.
So how do you guys like come up with? I mean, how do you come up with the voices? I mean, how do you come up with them? Are
All
they,
the voices?
Like, Jack and Kevin are obviously you guys. I mean, it's just you guys talking.
Yeah, I don't do much with my voice when I'm doing Kevin. You get a little higher pitch doing Jack, don't you?
Yeah, I'm definitely. It's that. Oh man, kind of like throwing it in back. Little bit of Jerry Lewis, but audible.
Right, because you can't understand what Jerry Lewis says.
Yeah. But Gary used to give you headaches when doing him for too long. Does he still do it? You sound pretty comfortable.
Yeah, doing Gary's voice for a long period of time definitely gives me a headache. It like starts in the back of my neck and then like reaches up to the cerebellum. And we realized that what it was God's hand on my neck squeezing because we were making fun of mentally handicapped people. No, the big reason why it hurts to do Gary is because I have to smile so big to do the voice.
Well, he's a happy character.
Yeah, so like you know that's one of the things that I really learned when we first started doing this was to learn how to act with your voice, how to portray feeling with your voice, and Gary's always happy even in his saddest points. So like I've constantly have this huge, you know, bucktooth grin
huge
on my
dumb
face.
Grin.
What's that?
I just said huge dumb grin.
Yeah, so like that puts strain on my face when I'm doing it. I definitely take more breaks during my recordings with doing Gary's voice than I do Kevin's. Voices for the other characters, the only one I can really put any thought into is Grand Moff Tarkin. Grand Moff Tarkin. Is Grand Moff Tarkin. That's basically just my general old person voice. Anytime that I see an old person or I want to animate what an old person's feeling out in the wild, that's the voice that I go for.
In the wild.
Yeah, you know, like when they're driving and you're like, oh, they obviously like, I'm too old. I don't know where I'm parking. I got this big ass van. Like that's
God, in hearing it, it's not that similar, but it's a little bit to me kind of like Professor Farnsworth from Futurama. You know, like good news, everyone.
Yeah, good news, everyone.
Yeah,
a little bit.
That's probably next to Gary, that Grand Moff Tarkin, probably my favorite voice that you do.
The triggers that at least I think that's what they're called, like the words that reminds you how to do the voice. The one for Grand Moff Tarkin is I'm fucking old. And then what's Gary's? Gary's is
Supposed to be his laugh.
Yeah, Gary's is his laugh. Okay, and that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, so
we should have a Gary off.
I don't want to do a Gary off.
So for me, Lando.
Yeah, Lando is like, I mean that's pretty self-explanatory.
Lando is just, hey, everybody, kind of a radio disc jockey.
It's terrible.
He's like the pimp of the galaxy or something.
Huh?
He's like the pimp of the galaxy. That's what every time I hear that, I just think he just has a bunch of like hookers or something in his back.
I'll tell you what though. Every time I
Cloud
see
City's a big strip club joint or something.
Every time I see Billy D. Williams on a movie or a TV show, my panties still get wet. Because like I'm watching through Lost right now, and he had like a 15-second bit, and I was like, oh my god, it's Billy D. Williams! It's Billy D. Williams! And then like he was done. That was it. He wasn't in the show anymore.
And they say that he was so high during the filming of Empire Strikes Back.
What? Where'd you hear that?
Just look it up. They just said he was higher than a motherfucker.
It's on the internet.
During the movie. Yeah, on the net. And then so Darth Vader, besides the change that Eric does in editing, it's just talking really low. Just like that. But that's a fun one too. Are you mocking me over there?
Yes. No. I told him I was gonna go ahead and just put that filter on it for that little bit. Like what filter, Ricky? That's what it always sounds
so like. I do nothing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's a funny one though too. Is once you change it, it sometimes makes lines sound way better than they would have even just with me doing the low voice. It's weird, the whole light bright thing.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
like how does when you're editing and you do the lines your normal voice, do you listen them back like just without the filter? I mean, Ricky, you probably obviously do because you don't have the ability to put the filters on, but and then when you hear the filters, I mean, do you almost want to do the lines again, or how does that affect your?
No, I just do the lines about 4 different ways for Eric, which I know it's got to be hard for him to edit, but almost every line I do 4 different ways unless it's. I don't know. There's lines I don't, and then there's lines I do, and I don't know how I decipher which ones I redo.
All right, getting it like back into the episodes, and Ricky and I did this in front of Ricky or whatever, and I did okay, but like in the first 2 seasons, I could kind of hear like who wrote what, knowing you guys and your personalities and all that. You could kind of hear who wrote what. Now, when season 3 came about, they kind of got unified more, like. Kind of like talk about like how season 3 sounded a little bit more unified. Did you have more collaboration in season 3? Was there a different workflow in writing the episodes? Anybody? Ricky?
So yeah, okay, I'll start first. It just goes back to again, kind of having a better idea of how things were going to go down in season 3, and we didn't write them in the strict order that they appear after the fact of writing all of them, which this season we wrote about 1.5 years, almost 2 years ago. We looked at all the episodes and we're like, okay, how would this work the best? Like some episodes we knew where they were going to kind of be placed. But then Eric and I agreed, we're like, oh, well, this episode has to come here. And, oh, this works really well here. But as an overall season, Eric wrote like 3 episodes and then collaborated on a bunch. All in all, I think we're just really good with communication and knowing where we wanted the season to go. How about you, Eric?
I mean, yeah, basically we just took more time. I mean, that's pretty much it. We planned more, we discussed it more, we constantly went back, and even when we were dropping the episodes in a certain list or an order, we went back to clear up any dead ends or fix any things that needed to be clarified. Whereas before it was like, oh, look what I did. Okay, let's record it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
More time.
Well, getting into season 3, Return of the Booty Hunter. Why a gay Boba Fett?
So, Eric and I talked about this today. We want to get our story straight, no pun intended. I'll tell my analogy. So, for Star Wars, Boba Fett, the only thing Boba Fett does well as this character we know from the movies is deliver Han Solo. Besides having a really cool outfit and being able to take Han Solo from Cloud City to Jabba the Hutt, that's the only thing he does well. It's like watching a pizza man wear a really cool suit, and you're like, holy like that pizza guy, that delivery guy.
He's just a glorified delivery boy?
Yeah, he's a glorified delivery boy. And you'd be like, oh, that delivery guy looks badass. I wonder how he can fight. Oh, he's a little bitch. He can't fight. He's dead now. Like, that's all Boba Fett is in the movies, like, going off of just the movies. So ours was like a big misconception. Everyone in the Empire thinks that Boba Fett is a booty hunter and is a pimp with the ladies. Turns out, big misconception. He's not. He's gay. Like, and he doesn't hide it. Like, there is no point that he hides that he's gay.
Yeah, I mean, just between me and Ricky personally, we're not big fans of Boba Fett. We don't really see, like, yeah, he's got a cool suit. His ship's kind of neat. But other than that, he's just a big vagina. Like, we personally don't understand the fandom behind him, and even Jango Fett was kind of a pushover.
Well, and it's like when creating Jango Fett, George Lucas was trying to build more importance for Boba, and you can't. Like, dude, what does Boba do? Because it's is it like 3 months after Han gets captured that Luke and them come and rescue him from Jabba's palace, and Boba Fett's still chilling there. Like, he's got nothing better to do.
Yeah, waiting for work.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about his technique that he uses with all of his quote unquote guy friends he takes out for the evening? Can either of you say it?
I didn't hear the question, so
well, talk about his technique that Boba Fett uses when he takes his guy friends out. Where did that come from?
Oh, the Emerald Sour. So, when writing the episodes, I actually started writing Return of the Booty Hunter on the way to see Eric in 2010 when we recorded all of season 2 on the Megabus. And I had the opening skit idea of like The Bachelor, but with the Booty Hunter. And then I had the little bit beginning, and I was like, I can't. For some reason, I'm just blocked. I'm writer's block. And a little bit later, like the next year, contacted Danny, our friend Danny Johns, who voices Boba Fett, who lives in Maryland, who he's a fan of Gary. He had not done anything previously, and I sent him what I had, and I was like, do you think you could come up with an episode? And he's like, I could come up with probably a rough edit. And I was like, okay. So he came back, and he had a hilarious, the Amaretto Sours joke. That story that everyone tells, and clearly something gay happened with Boba Fett, and they don't acknowledge it. They don't acknowledge that Boba Fett is gay, and it happened. Then all I did is I polished it up a little bit, did a couple rewrites, and that's the episode. And then when Danny visited Eric, I believe that's when he recorded the voice. I don't know how he came up with that, the voice that he did.
Oh, Danny just did a deep voice, and then honestly, I kind of got lazy and I threw the Darth Vader filter on it. So that's all I did. He sounds like
it's hilarious. It cracks me up.
He sounds like a black dude.
Yeah,
just like Darth Vader.
Well, and that's it was so funny. Danny came and visited me in Chicago in August, and I was writing the Halloween special for Eric's birthday present. And I was like, "Oh, you're here. We gotta write Boba Fett in here. It's a great character." And he helped me collaborate on his lines for that too, which I believe it was 100% Danny because he sang it at his wedding karaoke to sing "Faith" by George Michaels to Kevin.
Yeah, as many times as I was editing his lines for the karaoke song when he was singing, I didn't realize what he was saying or what he was referring to when he was like, "Oh, there you are again." No idea what he was talking about till I actually started listening to the song rather than the words to make sure they matched up when the backup singers came in. That I lost it when I realized what he was talking to.
Oh, and watching Danny record it, because we didn't use the filter up here or the mic stand, he just held the mic like he would be karaokeing. And when that was improvised. When those backup singers came on, he did that. And then afterwards, I was like, what was that? He's like, come on, that's what Boba Fett would be like if a group of young men backup singers just popped up and started singing behind him.
It's hilarious. Go Danny.
Yeah.
Thank you, Danny.
All right, talk about the creation of row your bot. What came up with the whole like build off with robots and How did you come up with the ideas for the individual robots?
That's another episode that I wrote. I wrote it working at Groupon as a temp last January, February. And how I came up with that's definitely a joke-inspired episode, because Eric had just sent me, I believe, the Empire Karaoke's. And you used a web service that you type in text, and it sounds robotic. It'll play back and read the text.
Yeah, it's a program that was developed by AT&T for some sort of messaging service that they were working on. And there's multiple, I guess, voices or people that you can get, certain dialects from different parts of the country. And I was trying to find the most blandest, something that, like, because typically a karaoke, I forgot what we were talking about.
Well, we wanted Wade to be Wadeoki, and couldn't ever get him to record. And then we just wanted to have like an unaffected droid to be like, welcome to the stage. Like a speak and spell type thing.
Right. Because Wade's he gets into it. So I wanted to find something that would be the complete opposite of him. Just because I thought that would be funny. I still get a kick out of the how are we feeling tonight Empire line. That's still a favorite of mine.
So the episode came out of Eric sent me the episode to listen to before he posted it, the Empire Karaoke's, and I was like, what program did you use? He sent me the link, and I sat there probably for the whole day working, sending him dumb things that I was having the program say, real immature stuff. And then I was like, oh my god, you know what would be hilarious? Hearing in this emotionless voice a Gary robot. Laughing, going like, Gary creating a robot of his own, or droid, and then we got to tie it in with Darth Vader as Anakin, built C-3PO by Told as the prequels. And also, I try to use music and old 80s songs and just songs as much as I can, and that's how If Ever You're in My Arms Again came out, and that's also my parents' wedding song or marriage song. Like, that's their song, is If Ever You're in My Arms Again.
And that's the first time in season 3 that you actually bring, I mean, you do it in season 1 and 2, but you bring singing into it. Talk about, I guess this is more for Eric, like editing that, as what are the challenges and
it's a pain in the ass.
And trying to edit.
Ricky's actually pretty good with that whole thing, because he usually, okay, here's the song, here's the lyrics, here's who I want to sing what, and I just get to shine for the most part.
The golden pipes.
I'll tell you what, though, singing in Gary is a whole lot easier than I thought it would be. Because,
really?
Well, we were, me and Ricky, and I think you are too, we're big fans of Red vs. Blue.
Yeah.
When it first came out. And through one of the commentaries, the guy who did Sarge, he was the only one that could sing in his voice. So they always used to make him sing because they thought it'd be funny. But for some reason, the other ones just couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, well, man, that's got to be tough. I don't know. And then when I get this email from Ricky and it says, okay, here's the song I want you to record. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, one, I don't know what the song is.
And it's a karaoke track that I send you.
Right, yeah. So, like off YouTube or one of those interweb sites, whatever they're called. And so I listened to the song, and then I listened to Ricky singing it, and then I imagine what it should sound like, and then I sing it that way.
Yeah, and what's funny is you sound really good as Gary, but then because you are a good singer, is in Turn Back the Hands of Time, in the final episode shows. But when you sing as Kevin, like in the Empire Karaoke's and in the Row 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 Your Bot, you have to make yourself sing worse. Like, Kevin doesn't know really how to sing because I'm awful at singing. I'm trying my best when I'm singing as Jack. And you have to tweak it a lot.
Yeah, because when I remember when we were doing the karaoke, it was like, okay, how bad do I have to make it? I don't want to sound like shit, And the song choice I thought was really good. Obviously, Gary's song choice being better, but it was like, how do I? Because I only know one way to sing, and that's just how I do it. I mean, that might sound selfish or whatever it is, but
Selfish bastard.
it's the only way I know how to do it. So it's like, okay, how do I don't want to go off key, or do I, or so that was difficult for me, but it was definitely funny. I can just imagine Gary singing "Baby Got Back." So I think it worked out for the best.
All right, moving on to the Breakfast Burrito Club and Trooper's Day Off. Obviously, a takeoff Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller's John Hughes films. Talk about how those came about. I guess, Ricky, since you wrote them.
Yeah. Eric can piggyback a lot off of the Breakfast Burrito Club. I love breakfast burritos. My mom makes some, and I love the McDonald's ones. So that's why that is in there.
Wow, very touching.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. Whenever I'm back home or my mom comes up, she makes me breakfast burritos. So the reason Breakfast Club, love Breakfast Club, huge fan of John Hughes, and seeing those characters getting punished, I was originally like, oh, should Darth Vader be the principal? And then I was like, no, he needs to be punished with them. Which I think's funny, too, because that's the one time Grand Moff Tarkin kind of puts Darth Vader in his place. Even though Darth Vader at any time could use the Force and kill him. And do whatever he wants. So the episode comes about kind of being lazy. Me wanting to do a parody, but then just straight up lifting lines from the movie. Part of me thinking, this will be funny hearing these characters say them. And the other one going, I need to write we need to write 2 more episodes. So let's make it the most fun we can. But then Breakfast Burrito Club ended up coming out, I think, pretty good as an episode. Surprisingly.
I liked it.
Yeah, and you did a great rendition of Don't You Forget About Me.
Stroke it a little bit slower, man.
You did a great rendition of Don't You Forget About Me.
You need to use both hands when you're stroking me, okay?
Good Lord.
And then also, great Gary line readings. I'll stroke you some more in that episode. The reading of the note. And one of my favorite lines is, why does everybody keep on saying that? Like, little box, bright lights, looks like a light bright, girl's toy. One of my favorite lines. And then Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Trooper's Day Off, probably my least favorite episode of the season.
Really?
It's real lazy on my part, writing wise. There's a couple funny things that I like of the birthday card. Gary saying license to drive you crazy, that it's his actual driver's license.
Right, yeah.
And then again, great line reading of Gary being sick at the beginning.
It's a little slower. Stroke it a little slower.
Hey,
Hold on,
I can't help it. Oh no! I can't help it but say, like, when I heard that, I LOL'd. I laughed out loud.
So, can we talk about the episodes that I wrote?
Yeah. This is why. See, you guys did such a good job in episode 3, or in season 3 of making them unified. I had a hard time telling who wrote what. And I did horrible research for this anyway, so. And I'll throw this to Eric first, but like, of season 3, like, what are your favorite episodes? And if they're your episodes, that's fine.
Right.
But like
one of the episodes that I wrote that really sticks out is the return of Death Starbucks.
Yeah.
Reason being is the whole firing Jack scene, or firing Kevin scene. That really happened to me. That was line for line.
Kevin gets fired by Jack and Gary, but then when Jack comes home or to stand guard, Kevin's like, well, what happened to you? Then it's what happened to you at that restaurant.
Back to what I said before, when Kevin got fired, that really happened to me. That was line for line what happened. And for some reason, I thought it would be hilarious to put that in because it's like I've never been fired from a job before except for that one. And that's exactly what happened. It was a very awkward.
You weren't fired. They just took you off the schedule.
That's right. Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about.
No. That's what my boss told me.
Surprise!
He said we're gonna have to let you go, and I was like, "Are you firing me?" He's like, "Well, we're taking you off the schedule," and I'm like, "Indefinitely?" And he was like, "For now."
Yep.
So that's one of the reasons why I couldn't pull unemployment was because I never technically got fired.
Wow.
But I just thought it would be funny to relive that because it was a very awkward situation. Like there was my boss talking to me, then I had my other boss that was kind of shadowing over the door, and I was like, "All right, man, you haven't said anything. It's it's time to weigh in." And he was just like, "There's nothing we can do," and I was like, "You fucking bitch."
Well, in Life Imitating Art, that episode was written a year before this happened. I ended up working at a coffee house up in Chicago called Caribou. And the dumb names for things and like the personalized names that people have for things of like shorten it down is 100% accurate and annoying.
Oh, like the tall frap, extra hot,
Yeah.
extra whip?
Yeah. Regulars that have their name for things, and no matter if it's your first day on the job, they expect you to know what you're talking about, what they're talking about. I no longer work there, thank God.
Actually, I didn't know that about you. I got that from that episode, that YouTube video where the guy and the girl order the exact same thing and they listen to the exact same music and then
I have herpes.
Yeah, I have herpes. That's where I got the lingo from because I've never stepped foot into a Starbucks before.
You get coffee, yeah. You don't. I get a caramel macchiato, which that with the extra shots, which that was in the second season, or no, that was first season, a new urine. Yeah, I love Death Starbucks too because I think that came back because that was one of the things we loved from the first season was a new urine and that opening of the Death Starbucks, the commercial.
And we like to do that. We like to rehash old things. Like we're gonna have Lazy Larry's dad in season 4.
So my favorite episode, season 3. Might be Return of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Yeah. Just a lot of things in that episode make me laugh. What's your favorite episode of season 3, Nick?
I mean,
The Christmas episode.
I mean, I do like Row, Row, Row Your Boat.
Yeah, it's a fun one. Yeah, that's the thing is, God, there's so many things. As you were saying about doing voices earlier, Eric, as much as I do voices and like do impressions, Eric astonishes me all the time. For one, the Halloween episode where he did, was it 10 different stormtrooper voices and rebel pilots?
Oh yeah. The Italian guy's still my favorite.
How do you like Lando? He's a pirate. Pirates steal your shit.
Pirates steal your shit. He lives in the clouds. He thinks he's better than everybody else.
Wow.
Can you name another black person?
No. Good times. Doing voices is fun. This is fun, everybody. This is fun, ladies and gentlemen. You should do this as well. It's fun.
So talk about the, I mean, you've been doing the commercials at the beginning of all the episodes since season 1. Talk about how do you have those like already created and you just kind of sprinkle them in as the season go on? When you're writing an episode, do you create a commercial for it specifically, or just talk about the creation of the commercials at the beginning? The little mini skits or whatever.
I'll let you begin, Eric.
Eric, you begin.
There's only been a couple that we actually tied into the actual episode. Usually it's just, jokes that didn't make it into the show because we couldn't figure out how to tie it in correctly. We always, this whole show is about taking a super high-tech, super intelligent universe and dumbing it down to what we know as life. So, when the Empire Studios makes a movie or does a presentation of The Lion King, or when Chewbacca and Obi-Wan Obi-Wan Kenobi are doing the Miracle Worker. Like, it's why not? Like, I think it's kind of the same idea that Robot Chicken was doing with their Star Wars episodes. They're taking this universe that doesn't exist and is extremely high tech and has this whole governing system around it, and it's basically dumbing it down to what we know today, and that's just good fun.
And it's taking characters and putting them and humanizing them and saying that they coexist with the universe that we know. Like you just said with Chewie and Obi and Miracle Worker, like in the Christmas episode, with actually was the first appearance of you, Nick, doing Luke and Han Solo, great Luke, the ADD Luke, Spaz, doing Christmas Story, which I think it's funny to be like taking these characters that you know and love and making them these other characters that you're so familiar with. And I think I remember second season, the Save Otto,
Right.
The Lion King, and a couple others we had written. Oh, and the Reading Rainbow with Darth Vader. We had wrote those openings ahead of time and put them in a folder, and then we picked them out and put them in episodes. Season 3, I think I did that with Ewoks, and maybe one or two other ones. But like Eric said, most times like Lazy Larry's for the folding chair. That's 100% the episode about the invention idea, copywriting. And then there's the Booty Hunter, the Bachelor one, which we have like 2.5 midichlorians and Pimp My Rancor in that also. But the Booty Hunter Bachelor parody goes with the whole episode.
Yes.
Was Max Cherry? That was a commercial at the beginning, and then he wasn't in an episode as well.
Max Cherry is based off of Jackie Brown. There's an actual character.
Robert Forster.
Yeah, Robert Forster plays a character called Max Cherry. He's a bail bondsman, and he's got a big old black dude named Winston that is basically his bodyguard. And me and Ricky were watching it one day, and we just thought just the whole the whole interaction between Jackie Brown and Max Cherry was hilarious, because Max Cherry was kind of this, goofy older guy, doesn't know anything about black people, and just trying to do the right thing. And then the voice kind of came about of this very monotone,
and he speaks truths the whole movie.
Yeah, that was another thing too. Is like, and he was always about speaking the truth and being honest with everybody. And we got a lot of jokes that we still laugh about from that movie.
So it's very, oh god, there's gonna be some more stuff from that coming in season 4. If you remember some other actors that are in that movie that appear in some Star Wars, that's a hint. But very much like we did with the marathon of the Star Wars movies. While watching Jackie Brown, we almost just stopped watching the movie and were jerking off each other with doing this impression of Max Cherry and doing Truth and Lies.
Oh, I wasn't there for that.
Darn, I bet you.
No, you bullshit.
You missed that.
There was no jerking off when I was there.
There was no. This is truth. Lie.
And cut.
Scene.
Good job, Ricky. Good job.
We did it. That's a wrap.
So what do you? I mean, obviously, if people are, the people that are listening to this know how to find your show, but what would you tell your fans? How can they get the word out? Do you guys have any plans in the future or currently that you're working on to get the word out about Star Wars Gary and how to start listening to the show?
Ricky, I'm going to let you take this one because this is kind of your job.
Man, I would love to get this out more. I think recently, just within the past month, since we changed over to Podbean, we've had a little bit of influx of listeners, and I've gone to our Twitter page and have found different Star Wars Twitter associated accounts like Death Star PR, which is hilarious. And I go around and I just kind of pimp it out, make little comments showing appreciation for their Twitter page, but then also pimping Gary. I think we may have gotten a couple listeners that way. We got a couple listeners on Podcast Community on Facebook, which is a Facebook group. Just otherwise, besides trying to get it out, we would love to do some sci-fi conventions and have like a booth and have people listen, and then maybe give out some T-shirts with some web addresses with our Gary logo. Otherwise, anyone who's listening, if you have a suggestion of how to get us out there, we'd love to hear it.
Oh, Eric didn't hit record, so we're just doing this for fun. It's all right. Take 2.
So I'm Eric Hunter.
All right. Can you guys tease a little bit of what season 4 of Star Wars Gary's going to bring? Anybody? Ricky?
Anyone? Is anyone listening? Season 4, we completely outlined it. Nick, we've talked about where we want the series to go, and we know where the series is going 100% now. And we actually have an almost episode-to-episode outline of Season 4. We are doing Phantom Menace, as you could tell by the cliffhanger to the end of the last episode of Season 3. And be prepared to hear some more voices from our good friend Nick Prince, who is moderating this.
That's
Hi.
you.
I introduced myself at the beginning.
And he's going to be doing some helping with the shaping of the Season 2, which he already has, as we've already started writing episodes.
Yeah, and I'm actually really, really excited to join the cast. I love doing voices. I don't know if they're good or not, but they're fun to do. I entertain myself.
They're good enough.
Thanks.
Quit burning and cutting yourself. They're good enough, Nick.
Can't stop it.
No, but really, it's going to be a lot of fun.
So question for you, Nick, and if Eric has any questions for you.
I don't know anything about Star Wars Gary.
How did you become a fan of Gary? What have you liked about Gary, and what do you want to see?
I mean, I don't know. I'm more of just I enjoy all the characters, and I'm not a huge Star Wars buff like you guys are. I mean, I've seen the movies and I enjoy them, so a lot of the stuff kind of goes over my head. But just as a normal fan, I really enjoyed it. And it helps to really know you two, so I kind of get the inside jokes that you're doing. And
that's why we don't have any listeners.
Huh?
I said that's why we don't have any listeners.
Do you think there should be more sexiness?
I think there should be more sexiness.
Okay, Ricky, more sexiness.
More sexy. More clothes.
Go.
So Eric, can you elaborate on Season 4?
Yeah, come on, just give us
without
the
giving
ending.
away the
Just go ahead and drop the ending right
Attack of the Clones? I mean, right now it's a little different. These next couple of seasons, since we're going back to the new trilogy, it's a little different because the first trilogy really takes place with Luke and the Rebels. Well, it was easy to go with the Empire because they're in a separate ship and they're in a separate space and they very rarely interact, so it was easy to be like, oh, this is what's going on while Luke's doing his thing. Well, now since the whole side of like the Senate and that whole scenario is more clouded than it's ever been, we're getting to that point where we're going to start weaving in Gary, Kevin, and Jack into the plot lines of the movies and what happens there, rather than, okay, the movie's going on over here and we're doing our thing over here. So there's going to be a lot more interaction with the movies. There's going to be a lot more of kind of Gary and Kevin and Jack slipping in and slipping out before the big scene happens, and how they were able to justify the means to that kind of accomplishment.
Well, and as you said, when I sent you the first couple scripts for Season 4 that I've written, you're like, I have to go back and watch them. I do not know them nearly as much as I know the original trilogy.
Yeah, we're using Wikipedia quite a bit.
Good plug. I love Wikipedia.
Well, obviously,
Yeah.
you guys are going with the movies. I mean, after 6, are you guys done? Are you going to keep going on?
Do we want to answer that, Eric?
I don't want to answer that, Ricky. Do you want to answer that, Ricky?
You guys want to jinx it?
I mean, I don't want to answer it. Let's just say there's still life that could be done after 6 movies. But I don't want to give away what we have planned for the series. I will say this though about the original trilogy. We're not as much fans as we've mentioned before on the other Gary in Real Life one, but we're not gonna spend 3 seasons bashing those movies.
But we will be bashing the movies.
In our own way, we're gonna be kind of. God, this is gonna sound so pretentious. We're gonna take the things that we thought should have been really good about the movies and explore that.
What a pretentious prick!
Because I mean, there's still a great history and a great world within those movies. It's just, man, could have gone so many different ways.
I agree. But then again, they are in their kind of own little scenario. So, I mean, I like them as a whole of them, but they're no way as good or will ever be as good as the original. There is only one return.
I agree. Well, is there any last words you guys want to say?
Ricky, I love you.
I love you guys.
God, you're gay.
God, you fell for it.
You're queer.
So where can again, just where exactly can all the, I mean, obviously these fans know where to go, but where can they tell their fans maybe of their podcast, where can they go to find Star Wars Gary?
StarWarsDairy.com. We got a legit...
or SW_Gary. That's the Twitter page.
And then our Facebook account is facebook.com/capitalidea100.
Or if you're searching iTunes, search Star Wars Gary on iTunes, and it's pretty easy to find.
And I believe we're also on Podcast Alley as Star Wars Gary.
Yeah. To touch on the, we didn't talk anything about the final episode. Doing Mark and Roger, kind of finishing them up. Those are great characters to do. And Eric did the vocals for the song Turn Back the Hands of Time that appears in that, and did all the editing for that episode, which was a really, really good job considering how long the episode is and how quick it feels when listening to it. I just wanted to say that.
Oh, yeah. No, it helps. It helps you guys to listen to them because it's to get notes and that kind of thing. It's it makes my job a little easier because, I mean, I'll listen. You have no idea how many times I listen to Danny saying Faith as Boba Fett.
Fuck,
And
I'd shoot myself.
I'm sick of hearing it. And it's burnt to my brain, and it'll never leave. But it helps having the two of you guys to listen to it and then really critique it, even though it's you guys are fans and you're part of the show. But
Not true.
I agree. I hate this fucking show too. I don't know why we still do it.
Yeah, you can contest to that, Eric, Nick, with just joining on. Like when he sends you the episodes to listen to, what do you listen to make notes on?
Well, I mean, I come from more of like a technical editing background, so I'm more of listening to that stuff, like sound effects in the background. I'm a huge part of that. I mean, I've listened to several like old time radio shows, and that's all about the sound effects to really put you in the environment. So that's what I listen to. If I don't hear a door slam when it's supposed to, or just the hum of a spacecraft or whatever, I have to have that as a listener to know where the environment is and picture in my mind where they are in the world.
Because you can't see it in radio.
You can't see it in radio.
That's what's weird about it.
I try. I can't see it. I think that's it, guys. We didn't mention that's happening in Star Wars history though. As we speak, so we might as well mention it. Episode 1, 3D. Who is seeing it?
I'm not going to go see it.
No.
I'm not going to go see it either. I don't... Man,
Now
I
you feel
remember
horrible
when-
that you're going to see
Well,
it,
but
don't
that's
you?
the thing. They're going to release episode 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, and 6. Are you guys going to go see 4, 5, and 6?
No,
No.
probably not.
No.
I have the original theatrical cuts
I don't
on
need it in
DVD.
3D.
I don't need to see them again. I can watch them whenever I want.
I bash the idea of seeing episode 1, 2, and 3 in theaters because I saw all 3 of those in theaters, and I've actually seen 4, 5, and 6 when they were re-released in the 90s. But I'm not going to say I'm definitely not going to go see Empire Strikes Back in 3D. I'm not a huge fan of 3D. I think when you add it to a movie that's not filmed in 3D, it's ridiculous. And even when it is filmed in 3D, not that good. But man, something about seeing Empire on the big screen.
Yeah, I mean, back to the point of what you said, it wasn't shot in 3D, so there's nothing in the movie unless he throws some laser blast, which I'm sure he will, out into the audience.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
nothing
that's-
that I didn't watching the movie the first time around. I was never like, oh, that should be in 3D. I would love the movie. I mean, the movie as itself is a great movie, so I think making it a 3D movie kind of hurts it.
I agree.
Yeah, but you're right. There's going to be laser blasts, and when they fly into the worm mouth thing through the asteroids where you're supposed to be able to see a potato in the shoe or whatever, they're going to probably add stuff to make it look like it's flying at you.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, when's that coming out? That's not going to be for what, like 10 more years?
Oh, I don't know how he's going to release them. I don't know. I could probably look that up.
Didn't he, George Lucas, what's the movie he's,
Red Tails?
what is it? I'm so happy that he finally did it because he got off his Star Wars kick. Obviously he didn't because he's doing all the 3D movies. It's just like, you wrote 3 great movies and then these 3 other moneymakers. Like, why? Just, you're done with it. Just do something else.
But why?
Yeah, but Red Tails,
I don't
the whole
get
thing
it.
is
It's
like,
just...
it wasn't going to do well. And then he did that whole ran to the press and said, "Oh, they're not giving it the publicity it needs because it's an all-black cast movie." Like, that's not why it didn't get the publicity. It didn't get the publicity probably because it's a stink bomb of a movie.
I don't know, man. Hollywood's made up of a bunch of Jews.
Have you liked what you've seen so far of it?
I haven't seen anything of it. I just wanted to make a racial slur.
All right, well, we could go on this all night, so we'll go ahead and close this off. This has been Gary in Real Life, Episode 2. I'm Nick Prince, joined by Eric Hunter and Ricky Glore.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.